poll conducted only 9 months into the Trump presidency uncovers a bleak view of U.S. politics, widespread distrust of the political leaders, and an erosion of pride in the way the democratic system works in America. Henry, do you think the problems in American politics has reached a dangerous low point since the Vietnam War, or is it far worse than the Vietnam War?
Well,
or better?
I don't think we're better. I think we have different problems. I don't think it's necessary at the point that Trump put his hand on the Bible on January 20th. I think the problems date back to the previous administration, even before that. We've lost faith in the people who are governing because the people who are governing aren't representing our values. And there's a disconnect.
30% of the people values of the whole country?
I think those 30% probably didn't understand the question, because I think really the faith in our political system right now is troubling, because I think both sides of the aisle distrust the other side of the aisle so vehemently and much they've lost any effort to try to work together. And this dates back to, we can say how low the country was when Jimmy Carter was in office, and then Reagan swept into office, and how we reinstilled patriotism in the country, because we were coming off of the 1-2 punch with the Vietnam War and Richard Nixon. We're in the same boat now. We have a lot of distrust in what our government does for us. We question everything they do, and the people that we send to represent us, they say, hey, I'm going to do this. And as soon as they get in there, there's a lobby interest that redirects their efforts.
How does that affect your political satire writing? Does it give you
Well, it gives
volumes?
me plenty of material, I tell you that.
What material do you take away? How much honesty do you take away? How much have you changed your political satire writing today to not just being satire, but being pretty much factual?
Well, it's a little bit scary, because some of the articles that I've written as satire have actually somehow, in some fashion, partially came true.
Like Buck Rogers was.
But no, this isn't a new problem. This really isn't a new problem. We're just now seeing it at a more exaggerated level. Congress has historically had extremely low approval ratings.
Except your congressman. Well, you guys, I'm sure your congressman, you don't like your congressman.
I'm not.
I think he's a very nice individual. I don't agree with his politics.
Well, then,
I don't agree with most of them's politics.
Well, how can their approval ratings be at 15%? Okay.
Because they also have a very high re-election rate.
And how do they have that?
Because
when the same
people just start
voting?
voting down party lines. That's all they do.
Well, wow.
And that right there is probably what's killing America. Is we're just voting for the lesser of two evils, and we just keep checking that box based upon what letter is at the end of somebody's name.
You agree with that?
Not wholeheartedly, but I agree about 90% of what Ken's saying. I don't
Give me the 10% you don't agree on.
I think we could fix the issue with term limits. That we get fresh creative ideas, people who aren't bought into a position for the next 40 years. Senator Byrd, how long has he been there?
Yeah, but he's not there now.
He's not there now.
Ted Kennedy's not there.
But his ghost still lingers in the hallways.
And Barney Frank's not there. You got rid of all the guys that you wanted to get rid of. Now, when do we get rid of some of the other side of the aisle?
Well, maybe the next election.
Oh,
okay, because a couple of them already said, listen, I'm not going to the circus anymore. So
they're part of the circus.
Well, they are. They're the ones handing out peanuts and Cracker Jacks as you go walk in. So I'm not sure whether the ringleaders can continue being the ringleaders. That's part of the problem in D.C., is that both sides of the aisle, the people who are banging the drums the loudest, are where our problems are at.
Is it different today than when the Vietnam War was? What do you think? Vietnam was a very unpopular war. Back in the 60s and in the early 70s, Vietnam was really, why are we there? Why are we there? 53,000, 55,000 people killed.
But we don't have 55,000 people dying for a war on the opposite side of the planet. We don't have that today. Okay, we're embroiled in national conflicts in Afghanistan and Iraq, and let's hope not on the Korean Peninsula. but we don't have the mass casualties that we had back then.
Should
Thank
Congress
God for
have should Congress have the authority now that hasn't been changed since 2001 to vote on whether we go into a war or not, especially in North Korea? Should Congress debate that, not the president?
Congress should have the authority of declaring war.
Correct.
So should that be changed, Ken?
No, I absolutely
You don't think
not.
the vote should be taken? You don't? It's still operating under a 2001 agreement where the president has that authority. Should that be changed?
That should be changed. The
Okay.
president should not have the authority to unilaterally make that decision.
But
that should be up to the representatives, not a single representative, the representatives of the people.
But it's the same thing with treaties, being embroiled in treaties and saying,
Yes.
oh, well, they're just agreements, they're not treaties, okay? And we don't want to have police actions, okay? And we don't want the UN dictating what our national interest is. So we need D.C. to stand up and represent the nation as a whole, not the Democrat side of the aisle, not the Republican side of the aisle, not the Libertarians. They have to represent every single individual that casts a vote.
And to touch on what Henry was saying earlier about term limits, and Ron, don't take offense to this one, but diapers and politicians should be changed often for the same reason.
Well, that's true.
Politicians shouldn't be in diapers.
Hey, I had a term limit. People
Yep.
said, he's done.
Exactly.
So they voted me out. Why don't these 40-year congressmen and senators get voted out?
Because they wind up having the money machine that perpetuates them getting
So
reelected.
big money runs the country.
Exactly. Okay, how could Ken, if Ken wanted to run for the District 6 seat, how could Ken compete with, and I'll throw a name out, Mr. David Trone?
Or Hober, for that matter.
Yeah, okay, but both sides of the aisle.
I can't.
Exactly.
I absolutely can't.
But Trone's a philanthropist. Hober's getting her money from where? Big money
Federal
in the
contracts.
Pentagon. Okay, big money,
Yeah.
federal contracts. Let's call it the way it is. Trone makes his on his own.
But there's still a lot of money going in. Politics it's impossible to compete on that level.
You've had the last word. Up next, Fast Five. Stay tuned.